Hello, Knockouts. Tonya TKO here. And as you know, I'm a self-love specialist from TonyaTKO.com. I help you learn how to love yourselves and each other. On this channel, we use viral video topics as teachable moments for self-love in our own lives. So I wanted to talk with you all about this story that came across my news feed that I thought was a joke, and I actually scrolled past it because I'm like, yeah, this can't be real. And then I saw other news agencies reporting on it and even a video to go with it from a news station. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is real.
Around 4 o'clock in the morning, I heard a few pops. There's a lot of firecrackers that often get shot off around here, just recreationally 4th of July, but sometimes people have leftover fireworks, so this is not a shots fired type of neighborhood. You know, we don't have that kind of drama going on around here. I made my way to make sure that my house was secure, and kind of made my way out of the door pretty, easily. And at that point, I saw some commotion across the street, and I saw a gentleman, a young man, in a pool of blood at the end of the driveway. And I could tell he was pretty much lifeless at that point. And still hadn't determined where the gunfire had come from. After a while, the police had arrived, and there was a gentleman about 50 feet down the street, and he was on the ground, kind of rolling around in pain. My neighbor, he was ready. He was ready for something that you never want to be actually engaged in. You hope that you never have to do that, and unfortunately he had to do it. He's quiet, he's a hard worker, he's always working. Like he's rarely at home. He drives trucks, so when he come home, he will sometimes bring his semi truck down to the cul-de-sac, go in house rest, or he'll go get remote control cars. And my son, who's 9 years old, plays with his nephews, and they'll play with drones or remote control cars in the street. So he's a friendly guy. Always waves. He's a neighbor. He's a good neighbor. It's just a tragedy. Kids are dead, and we have a man who now has to carry that with him for the rest of his life. That children died, but he did what he had to do to protect his family, and so I don't blame him for it. And I don't think anyone in our community blames him for it. We hurt for him, and we hurt for the families of the children who were lost. And that's just where we are. So, everyone's kind of in a somber place right now, trying to figure out what to do to prevent it. That's just where we are.
And so I wanted to get your point of view on this because, in my opinion, I feel like there's some cases that are gray and some cases that are just cut and dry. So let me tell you what happened. Early in the middle of the night, 4 a.m., three teenage boys broke into this man's home wearing masks, and they opened fire on someone or someone's inside the home, to which the homeowner shot all three of them dead. And the homeowner, who is a black man, is saying that he's devastated by this. He held one of the boys as he took his last breath in his arms. And I can imagine that this is a tragic situation for anybody to go through. However, the family of the boys, they've put up, memorialized pictures, calling them fallen soldiers. They have pictures of these boys with angel wings on, now mind you. And the caption that I read, it says, 3 young men were recently killed in a home invasion in the Atlanta area. They were 15 and 16. They were 2 brothers and a friend. They broke into a man's home at 4 a.m. wearing masks and brandishing guns. They shouted at the people in the home. The homeowner fired back and killed all 3. Right now, there's a growing discussion about whether this was overkill. The families of these young men think so. The homeowner feels justified in his actions. He was defending his home and the lives of those in it. So what are your thoughts? And personally, I'm like, a lot of these situations come across and people are like, rallying for the people. And you see they got the angel wings behind the boys. But if you look at the pictures, one guy looks like he may be throwing up gang symbols. One dude is holding up the middle finger. The other one is just standing there. But these are some young boys who are obviously going down the wrong track. And for people to sit up here and say that the homeowner did too much, when are we going to start taking responsibility for our children and their actions? When are we? I understand that they were children, but they came into that home 4 o'clock in the morning wearing masks, opening fire at someone inside their house. My whole thing is stay out of people's houses. Stay out of people's homes. I mean, what was their intention? Coming in there with guns, shooting at people? What was the homeowner supposed to do? Just stand there, get shot, lay down and die, and then what? And then they come back into the hood and they're like, "Oh, no snitching." I don't know. This whole situation, I find, I'm speechless personally. All I can say is, if you don't want the heat, stay out the kitchen. Keep your behind out of people's homes. Why are you robbing people at 15 and 16 years old? And if this man would have lost his life in there, what would the family going to say then? Well, I mean, really, I'm happy that this man had the tools necessary to be able to protect his home. A neighbor did come out and speak about the man, and he said that the man is really home. So these boys probably cased his house, figured, because the guy's a truck driver, he's really at home. They probably cased his house, figured, he's really ever there. And then they went in. But remember, they went in and had guns. You know what I mean? It's like you don't have good intentions for some because anything can go awry. They went in there with loaded guns. It's like you dance with the devil. Don't be surprised when your hands turned up burnt. This is just ridiculous. But what I want is I want to hear your thoughts below. What are your feelings about this? Was the homeowner justified? Did he do too much? Should he have aimed at the legs? Should he have shot warning shots in the air? Mind you, remember he was returning fire. He is evoking the stand your ground law, and I'm interested in seeing how this is going to turn out. I don't really think the boys' family have a case. These boys entered into the man's house at 4 a.m. A person has a right to defend their personal property. Enough is enough. This is going too far. At some point, we have to have personal accountability and say, you know what? Little Romeo, or well, let's see, what's their names? Little Brandon and Isaiah and little Jamie. They were wrong. They were wrong. I mean, what would you do? 4 a.m. masked. Ugh. So here are pictures of the boys. That's Isaiah 16. And if you look at their clothes are fresh. They're wearing chains and jewelry. They're wearing designer clothing, fresh, clean sneakers. That's Jamie right there. And this is the last one, Brandon. And I mean, they're cute young men with their whole life ahead of them. And I mean, you remember what it was like being a teenager. You thought you knew everything. You thought you knew better than your parents. So we don't know if their parents weren't taking care of them. That's the neighbor right there. And another neighbor who found a shoe look at the shoes that they're wearing. Expensive shoes, going to a robbery with designer clothing on. The guy had a sign up in his yard that said no trespassing. Trespassers may be shot. There are bullet holes inside of a car, bullet holes in the post. So my guess is that these young men didn't know how to shoot and that the man did. And this is what the aunt says. I hope that someone can come forward and let us know what's going on because this is like devastating to my family. So this was Reed and Hernandez's aunt, LaShawn. She told that to 11 Alive. And she's like, there are 3 teens that are dead now, and we all love them. So, we don't know what type of family these boys came from. We really don't know what the situation was, but we know that 4 o'clock in the morning, they turned up inside of a man's home, trespassing and shooting at a man and his family. It's devastating that these children lost their lives. Nobody wants a child to die, but nobody wants to be killed by a child either. These are young, very, very young people making decisions that affect the course of other people's lives forever, as well as their own. Now look, now they're gone, their family's devastated, and the guy who had to take their lives is devastated too. There are no winners here. It's like, just don't do it. invest in yourself and become the best person that you can be. There are enough cautionary tales and movies out there showing what happens when you go down this type of path. There's no grand future in this. Loving yourself is valuing your life. Loving yourself is not entering into people's homes in the middle of the night with a mask on. Loving yourself is valuing your life enough to invest in your life so that you could have a good future, not trying to take from people who have invested in their lives. So I'm Tonya TKO and I'm out. Come over to my website, TonyaTKO.com, and download your free copy of my Relax MP3. And with that, you'll join my mailing list and know about when I have new content out. Thank you. Peace.